onye medeni kajizenti iluzie solunwa kuna bili inata kwala inakwaje kama yani no wono okungwali boy kajizenti iluzie bulwa onye mebezi na nigo okungwali boy kajizenti jabo iluzie wolona Mwane mebe Onya mebe zina nipo Ogazi amaka wajina gomo Ogazi amaka wajina Osili onya Mkengeni tu Ekeke na logika shakalo Aji ashakata na mulu Sakebeno Aji ashakata Hasade na ya muzi Hobia muze no chini mo Sadebe no Namo Mwane mebe Ojeligwe wevine Ojeligwe bichuna Mwane mebe Mwana mabezina ebezina
Good evening from here. I am Mazi Chika Austin, and of course, a Biafran by birth and by every definition and correlation anyone might think to give it to. We are here, of course, as our manners always is, to talk about the ongoing issues, which I think most people might not really be privy to understand what actually is playing out. Not because they don't want to understand that, but because circumstances within their own reach could not allow that to be seen. And this evening we want to specifically talk about what the Russian trip is all about. And before we move ahead on that, I would want to confirm if I'm being received loud and clear. If I'm coming out clear, then we move ahead. While we are waiting for the confirmation of if my voice is coming out loud and clear, I want to console the family of our great leader, the Kano's family, for the great loss. Not just that great family, we are equally seizing this opportunity to pay our tribute to that great womb that gave us the man who is sacrificing all, virtually all, for the total emancipation of his people, a man who had the opportunity to play within the political gallery of corrupt system, but he turned it down in order to identify with the common people. So this evening, I am sending my own condolence submission to that family, because the mother to our leader is not just a mother of Kano's family. They are the first family as far as Biafra nation is concerned, and we can't forget her. We can't forget the wonderful gift Elohim gave us through her, that so we consoled that great family. We said, Karanobi, God knows why. And like our leader have showed wonderful leadership, has addressed us. He has made us to understand that nothing, absolutely nothing can subpedal his resolve towards that. So we'll quickly, why is now confirmed that we are being received loud and clear, we'll quickly talk about what we are going to talk this evening or this moment is specifically diplomatic issues, is specifically international politics, is specifically international pressure. We are talking specifically also, we are talking about statecraft. That is all we are going to discuss. We are not here to talk at the level of most people who might not really be acquainted with international politics and diplomacy. But as the case might be, we must understand that the struggle have a very resounding diplomatic phase. And that diplomatic phase, the results are things we are seeing today. So we are moving quickly as much as we can to cover a lot of things. Today, Nigeria has chosen to go east. Nigeria has chosen to go socialism. Nigeria have chosen to go communist. Whichever way, whichever language one might choose to adopt it. I want to say today that one of the good things the leadership of IPOB have done is to make sure they won Nigeria on Western Front. International politics or contemporary international system is regulated by by what we call bipolar system. What do we mean by bipolar system? Bipolarism, in a simple word, is all about 2 points controlling global politics, 2 dimensions controlling global politics. Either you are for the Western Front or you are for the Eastern Front. I will explain to details. Now, some persons who attended what I might call peripheral educational system in the field we are discussing, which is field of international politics, we tell you that Cold War or the bipolarism in international system ended in 1991, that the division of the world, the division of the international politics on East and Western blocks, that ended in 1991 or 1990. That is what mainstream knowledge will tell you. Yes, the literature conceptualization of bipolarism ended in 1990 or 1991, as most persons might talk. But in practical terms, the division is still active. I will explain. Today's world, like I said, NATO is effective. Though NATO was formed, I'm talking about North Atlantic Treaty Organization. NATO is still active, is still intact. Warsaw Pact, I'm talking about the group that held together the Communist Front. The Warsaw Pact, yes, we saw the end of it by principle in 1990. But the remnant of that bloc, that chain of comradeship is not totally demolished. Let me give you a clear instance. If you study the politics of UN Security Council, if you study the politics of UN Security Council and the voting system, I'm talking about specifically UN Security Council, you would agree with me that there is always a sympathy or sympathetic vote. Wherever Russia votes, China votes on that front. Wherever Russia moves, or wherever China moves, Russia shows sympathy on that. Clear instance of that is Venezuela. And you will agree with me that Venezuela, though Cold War has ended, though what we know in terms of literature, because what we are talking here is practical international politics. We are not talking about academic jargons. We are talking about practical international politics as currently obtainable. So that is what we are talking. We are not talking about peripheral knowledge. We are not talking about mainstream knowledge. We are talking practical international politics as evidential in day-to-day activities in international corridors, so that you will understand where I'm heading to. So, like for instance, you can see U.S. interest. I'm not digressing, I'm building foundation so that we will all understand where we're going to. For instance, you will understand that during the Cold War system, the Cold War time, you will agree with me that America was on high protectionist policy. She was maintaining the total defense of Western Hemisphere. So whatever happens in Western Hemisphere was of a critical concern to United States, especially during the Cold War. And Russian politics, I'm talking about Russian politics in Cuba. Reagan never took it as a joke. America gave a resounding repulsive approach to that Russian politics in Cuba. I'm talking about Cuba Missile Crisis that led to the, as in the Bay of Pig invention that led to the Cuba Missile Crisis. You will understand that despite that Cold War has ended, America is still conscious of Russia's interest in Cuba, Chinese interest in Venezuela, and all the rest of them. So, whether you will agree with me that Cold War is still evidential, or the bipolarism in international politics is still evidential or not, the truth remains. What we are talking about here is practical things you put your hands on. We are not talking about newspaper stories. We are talking about realities. So on that note, that is where we are going to discuss why Nigeria is going haywire, why Nigeria is behaving the way she's behaving today. I want to commend IPOB on the fact that she has been able, to make sure she won the Western front of the battle. That is one thing IPOB have done that is so amazing. This battle is just like you're fighting over a particular portion of land with your opponent. Immediately you defend your opponent on that front, he will either remain on that front and die a natural death, or she will be forced to exit from that ground. That is just how it is. On Western Front, IPOB have maintained a lot of pressures, whether it's a soft approach or hard approach. What is most important is that the outcome of that pressure have given birth to relegation of the Nigerian state on Western Front. And that's why I keep telling people, there's this misconception. Yes, it's really a misconception. People think when a President A gives so individual attention, that means a deal has been sealed. No, it doesn't work that way. For the fact that Nigeria did her best to rubbish IPOB on Western Front, Nigeria spent huge amount of money in lobbying. Take, for instance, in European Union, you have over 10,000 lobbying group. And every group is being sought for attention. This was purely capital intensive. So Nigeria was doing on American front. But what she failed to understand is that when you have money, but you don't have the technical know-how to communicate, to put forth your interest or pressure, you end up spending your money without gaining the anticipated result. And that's exactly what happened to Nigeria on Western Front. Nigeria believed that if she pushes a lot of money on Western Front, that she's going to sustain their support. That has been the mantra. That has been the political philosophy that clouds Abuja's mindset. But ironically, they fail to understand that even though you have your money, we have seen cases where those who played the card of human rights had resounding access to sensitive Western areas. And that Nigeria never knew. And today, she has lost the Western Front. Having lost the Western Front because nature abhors vacuum. Having lost the Western Front because you could see she has tried all her best to acquire arms. Even the one she procured from Brazil, the Tucano jet. America put pressure to make sure it wasn't delivered as at when needed. She has put series of efforts to have the Western nations backlist IPOB as a terrorist group. She has put a lot of pressure to have Western nations for checkmating the financial flow of IPOB. These are series of pressures. She has put different pressures to make sure that IPOB assets, I'm talking about IPOB online assets, I'm talking about IPOB's television, Biafran television. I'm talking about the various broadcasting stations and more that are coming up. Nigerian government have put series of pressures on Western fronts to have these assets stomached or hearted, to have the financial flow tagged money for terrorism sponsorship, to have Western countries to see IPOB as a terrorist movement. But unfortunately, her money was spent. Yes, she spent her money hugely. And yet, she could not have her way. And that have established a cold reaction, a very cold and rude reactions from the handlers of Nigerian state. And today, because they have lost procurement of arms and other Western support, she have no other option than to run to east, to move towards China, to move towards Russia. And that's why today she believes she could get arms from Russia. She believes she could have some developmental project drive in her own soil by Russia. But the truth remains, let's look at what they told us. Let's look at what they told us they are going to Russia to achieve or to gain. They said they are going there for arms. They said they are going there for gas development. They equally said that they are going to Russia for trade agreement. Now, let's make a holistic analysis of these submissions. Very, very important. Now, on the arms, can Nigeria actually get the arm she needed from Russia? Is arm market where a nation can walk in and get whatever she wants? This is a question people should answer. No nation gets arm like that, because at the level of arm market, there are various treaties signed by arm producing nations. And those treaties are strong checkmates. They are strong control mechanisms to arm purchase. Yes. For instance, we have seen cases where countries want to buy so arms, and they get frustrated along the line as a result of various interests, various coupled interests. So, you want arm from China, from Russia, and one should equally understand that the call for Russian arms from Nigeria is another way of activating Western jealous and Western repression. That is how it is. That is just how it is. In fact, I will say here that IPOB have done great work by pushing out Nigeria government to go towards Russia, because the direction Nigeria have taken is an automatic activation of Western jealousy and counter-attack on Nigerian state. You understand? So that is how it is. For the fact that IPOB have succeeded in pushing Nigeria towards Russia, she has done a very marvelous job. She has done an amazing job, because indeed, that will automatically attract the Western nations' attention. That is how it is. So she talked about getting gas development. Now let's look at the issue of getting her gas developed. How possible is that? Russia is one of the dominant. Sorry, the phone just fell off. Russia is one of the dominant gas producing country in the world. That is how it is. And Russia supplies the highest gas consumed in Europe, or Western Europe, through Germany and all the rest of them. And Russia is known through her, gas company, Gazprom. Yes. is known as not really wanting to compete with anybody on that front. Remember, there have been an attempt by Egypt and Israel to develop a channel towards Greece to supply to Europeans gas, and which Russia has not seen such project as a nice one. So the same Russia, as you will know, is equally helping Algeria, which is one of the highest gas reserve place in Africa. The same Russia is helping Algeria immensely in developing Algerian gas, trying to make Algeria to have a monopolized system in African gas market. And today, Nigeria is saying that she wants her gas to be developed by Russia. Have you asked yourself a question? What has happened to Shell BP that Nigeria prefers a Russian investors or Russian engineers to develop the gas other than British engineers? This is a question people have not taken time to ask. If Nigeria is seeking Russians to develop her gas, it shows that there is a cold feet on her own side to approach Britain. And do you think Britain, United States, and other Western countries will welcome that or see that as a good gesture? Your response is as good as mine. So you can now understand how a frustrated country behaves. When a nation is frustrated, she does not understand when she runs to the one that will destroy her. That's exactly the state Nigeria state is today. Because in desperation, in attempt to hurt the position of Western countries over their refusal to proscribe IPOB, to stop IPOB financial flow, to put down IPOB communication channels, Nigeria feels the best thing to do is to make friendship to the enemies of Western countries, which is China and Russia. So you can now understand what actually is playing out. You can now understand how the pressure of IPOB on Western front have forced Nigerian state to exit from that Western front and start going towards the Eastern front, which is more devastating, which is going to be more harmful to her. There's this mentality, there's this belief within those in Asrock that one day IPOB will definitely go on self-defense. That is a very crude and shred mindset. They believe that one day that IPOB will not keep on tolerating the excessive killings, the dehumanization. So they now feel that hence IPOB have defeated them on Western front, on Western diplomacy, that it is better for them to start making friendship from Eastern front. To China, they have met China. China told them, we can supply you arms. We can give you money. We can expose you towards bilateral trade that can give you money. But we cannot do the fight for you. So they believe the best thing to do, they have taken time to see what Russia did in Syria, how Russian support to Assad help Assad to remain there. So what Abuja feels that the best thing for them to do is to run towards Russia, so that even though the West resolve tomorrow to support IPOB's self-defense decision, that they can have someone to help them just the way Assad is helped. But can we analyze that? Can Russia take such risk? To me, no. Because when you look at Russia's commitment in Syria, you will understand that it is only Syria that Russia maintains foreign military. If not recent place in, I think, Congo, one of the Congos, either Congo Kinshasa or Congo Brazzaville. So it was only in Syria that Russia have her 7th naval fleet anchored, stationed in Damascus. So to Russia, Syria is a geostrategic center for her. So if Russia is taking much on Syria, she is doing that because Syria is hosting her 7th fleet. And that gives Russia access to the Mediterranean. It is just Mediterranean politics. But in the case of Nigeria, what can Russia stake? Russia would not want Nigeria to develop to a point that she can develop her gas, the gas reserve. And if Nigeria develops gas reserve, she will compete with Russia on area Russia have advantage on, which is Russia's gas is the highest consumed in Europe. And you are now trying to tell somebody whom you're going to compete with to come and help you. So how funny is that? Isn't that funny? Russia is not rich in terms of money, finance. Russia understands a lot of threats arising on areas she have a comparative advantage on, which is her gas. And you are not telling this person to even come to help you so that you cannot develop the same gas and compete with her. It doesn't work that way. That's why the meeting in Russia is just a jamboree. If they have said to Russia, come and help us and develop our agriculture, it could have been better, because Russia is not a major agro-producing state in the world. But you're not telling Russia to come and help you and develop your gas sector, which is the only tool Russia is using to control entire Western Europe. Because that is the only power Russia possessed. Whenever the European Union wants to misbehave, Russia claims that she's going to turn off the gas supply to Germany, and Europe will be jittering. So the same area Russia is using to work on Europe is the same area you're telling Russia to come and develop for you, so that you can knock her off that strong ground. That's why I said education in the zoo is a dead one. Because you tell somebody, the zoo went to Russia to sign a gas development agreement, and one idiot will just be jumping that is true. Russia is coming to develop. Have you asked yourself, what is Russia? What is that thing Russia have in possession that makes her great? Apart from the nuclear armament, what else does Russia have that makes the Europeans to respect her, that makes the Europeans to be careful when handling her case in Ukraine. The only thing apart from nuclear weapon that Russia have that is so strong for her is the gas. And Russia would not want anybody to supply gas to Europe, because if any nation succeeds on that, Russia's influence in Europe will down. It will definitely weaken. And that is what the zoo is telling her population, her gullible population, that we are going to Russia. They will come and develop our gas. You see how silly. And some journalists are writing that junk without asking question. How would, okay, if without asking a simple question, okay, you say Russia will come and develop. Where are you going to sell what Russia is going to develop for you? If Russia develop your gas, which market are you going to sell it? So you're telling me now, if I sell moi and I'm controlling a market, I'll be happy to teach someone how to sell that moi and come and dominate or contend with me in one market. This is capitalism we are talking about. You should understand my position. That is what the zoo is telling her gullible citizen, that there is a man we want to compete with in one market, and the same man wants to teach us his secret. Is that? And journalists are writing on that. No critical question. No question like, if Russia develop our gas, which market is available? No one is asking that. No one is asking this question also. Why is it that British investors are not called to come and take control? Why is it that American investors on gas, liquefied gas, are not asked to come and take over? Why Russians? Is because the Western Front, IPOB, have succeeded in beating the zoo mercilessly on Western Front. And she feels they are not reliable. Nigerians' move to Russia is just childish demonstration. It's just like you beat a child. Okay, let me give you an instance. You have a boy, your son, and you keep telling him, don't go to that neighbor's place. Anytime I see you at that neighbor's place, I'm going to flog you. And the boy listens and be following this your wonderful instruction. All of a sudden, one day you beat him. He knows he can't beat you back. So in order to make you to be angry, do you know what he will do? He will run to that neighbor's place. I don't understand me. Without knowing that him running to the neighbor's place is not even going to do much to you. It's himself he's doing. So the zoo believes that now that the Western nations are not arriving at same position with her over IPOB's case, over Biafran case, that let us tell them that we can still go to Russia. That place they don't want us to go. That China they don't want us to go and loan money. That Russia they don't want us to go and buy their arms. We are going to there. Let them go to her. Maybe if we go there, they can call us and ask us what is our problem. You can see childish thought. So that is what we are talking about. And another lie they told their gullible ones, of course, is that they will sign a trade agreement. Trade on what? Before you sign a trade agreement, you must have a product. Zoo, what are you producing? What area are you going to be trading on with Russia? It's a simple question. What area are you going to be trading on? What product do you have to trade on? Absolutely not. Even your beans you send to Europe, because under, what is it called? I want to remember this, what is it called? There is this trade agreement between EU and, EU and ACP countries. Thank you. ACP countries, that is Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific. There is a trade agreement between European Union and ACP countries. ACP, the word stands for Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific countries. So, do you know that why other African countries were making use of that trade agreement? Because there was concession given to African products and Caribbean products and Pacific. Do you know the only product Zoo brought? Beans. And when they sent that beans to Europe shipped it back to them. And they were asking why. They said their beans have termites, one. And two, they use chemicals used to embalm human beings to preserve that beans. Until today, Zeus beans can never enter Europe. So, a country that cannot even provide better product other than contaminated products like beans, opportunity of beans, she cannot even, goodness me, she cannot even have a eatable beans in Europe. Tell me why the need of going into trade agreement with Russia. What will she give? Because in trade agreement, before you go into trade agreement, you must consider what we call balance of trade. You don't sign an agreement that is going to encourage trade deficit. You don't sign a trade agreement that you have nothing to present on the table. Every trade agreement is targeted at arriving at win-win. There must be a trade balance, not encouraging a trade deficit. So, but because they are confused, because they don't know what they are for, because it's just a dysfunctional society and dysfunctional government, they speak grammar. Hey, Ghana have signed trade agreement with Japan. It's better we equally speak the same agreement. After it's trade agreement, we can equally say we are signing a trade agreement with hell. Let it be that while others are using the word trade agreement, we are equally using it. You can now understand how it is. So, another question we want to ask ourselves, because if you look at the whole thing, find out that frustration is leading Nigeria to where she's going towards Russia. Not because she's doing that out of choice. It's because IPOB have disabled her on Western Front. She's now retreating to Eastern Front. Now, are you aware that the same Russia that Nigeria is running to, are you aware that the same Russia have a cold relationship with the zoo mother, aka Britain? Most of you might not know. In fact, recently, Britain accused Russia of using gas in her soil. For those of us who followed international stories much, you would understand there is this Russian double agent that lives in London or somewhere in UK, and it was alleged that Russian agents wanted to kill that man because that man is a double agent. He works for Russia, he works for Britain. So it looks the man have done something which Russia is not happy for. And Britain said that Russia came to UK and sprayed a chemical weapon, a biological weapon, I might not really know, which the man and the daughter inhaled. That almost took the two countries to war. That is a few months ago. So Russia and Britain are in serious problem. They have a very cold relationship. And the zoo is not even considering that this person we are running to, our mother, in the UK, is not even in good relationship. But do you know why? The zoo feels, in as much as Britain refuses to put down Radio Biafra in London, in as much as Britain have refused to help them and stop the flow, financial flow of IPOB, in as much as Britain could not help them to work on America against Biafra project, that the Britain deserves to be snubbed. You can now understand. You can now understand the shallow mentality of these people. Just little diplomatic confrontation with IPOB, their weaknesses are just being shown for the public to read. If because IPOB is hitting you on Western Front could make you run to Russia hastily, start running to China hastily, what shows that Nigeria is worth to be a nation or a country? Because the problem is they depend the conduct of the international politics on foreigners, foreign experts. That have been their mentality. If they want to address any world leader, they first of all pay huge amount of money to domestic lobbying group to do that for them. It's not that they don't have a projecting power. And that's why little tug of war, little horn jam with IPOB, the world could see that it's just an empty nation. So, but the truth remains, the Russia they are running into, is Russia free? Russia is facing her own multiple problems. Russia is talking about a serious concern over America's cancellation of missile treaty. Russia have too many problems on her table. That's why there are a limit, or there is a limit Russia could help out. The Russia you're seeing today is having a very slow economic growth. The same Russia you're seeing today is still being affected seriously over her prosecution of Syrian war. You understand? The same Russia is worried over Western expansion to her neighbors. Take, for instance, in Ukraine, in Georgia, in Poland. These are areas NATO is advancing seriously. And Russia would be more important or more interested on her geopolitical zone than African business. Because a lot of things is happening for Russia. Russia is facing a huge threat. On her gas, for instance, Israel is posing a strong threat to that. Israel's gas discovery is on huge reserve, and Israel is working seriously with Cyprus to see how to connect her gas through Cyprus to Greece, then Italy, then connecting to the rest of Europe. This is what Israel is doing. This is what Israel is signing agreement on many fronts every day. And that is a strong threat to Russia. And you will tell me that a country with such multifaceted challenges will just carry somebody, one primitive African nation problem on her shoulder. It doesn't work that way. So this trip, they went to Russia, is more of show. It's more of tourism. Tourism, yes. It's more of having a coffee table and boarding back home. Nothing serious is going to come out from it, because it is a trip that is geared or that is being propelled by childish display, because you feel one day IPOB is not going to relate, you think one day IPOB will not be folding her hands and over your killing, over the extrajudicial killings and torment, and you believe the best thing to do, because you are accusing the Western countries of supporting IPOB simply because they advise you to negotiate, to dialogue, and you feel because the so-called, you say, is a small boy, is not going to accept on our terms, then no need to dialogue. What are the crimes of the Western nations? You were told, American communicated to you through their embassy and said, dialogue with these people. You understand me? Dialogue. Britain told you dialogue. European Union told you dialogue. And you said you're not going to dialogue, that the first thing for you to dialogue, you started giving silly excuses that they should form coalition. That is only grand you want. Oh, you want IPOB to form coalition, then your boys will hijack the coalition and do your will. And IPOB understood the trap and said, we are not interested to form coalition with anybody. Whoever that wants to dialogue with us should dialogue with us independently. You say, no, we want to dialogue with all the Biafran group. Let them form coalition, so that IPOB will form coalition with a bunch of animals, bunch of idiots you have just set up. You are funding with your money in our land. When you notice that IPOB is smart beyond the expectation, you are not saying Western idea, Western advice should go to hell. That all you will do it in your way, and they are watching you. How far? Your economy derailing. Everything is getting obviously mesmerized and bastardized. Before your own very eye, your nation, you are losing it in a very hard way. And nobody is interested for you. So that is how it is. So that is how it is. And very, very important. Russia have her own challenge, like I said. And IPOB stand on a better chance also to win Russia's mind. Yes, we have a very, very opportunity for that, which I will not say here. And I know the leadership are well engaging. So that is what is ongoing, and that is how disgraceful the zoo has turned herself into. And you can see all her neighbors are now friends of the Western countries. In Chad now is a very good friend of Israel. Niger is hosting American drone strip. In Niger of all people, is a flying point for American drones. And the same Niger is hosting France military. Chad is Israel friends. Ghana is doing wonderfully, being American friend, being a Japanese good friend, being UK's good friend. And you can see what is happening in Ghana. Benin Republic is equally sitting up. It's only this good for nothing country that is going another way. Others are going right. She's just going left. Only her. Only her. So that is all we have to say this evening. What is most important here is that the diplomatic pressure is really advancing. If they could go to Russia to start begging for arms, is a clear indication that their Western friends are obviously getting tired of them. That is a strong indication. But I trust Putin's relationship with Israeli Prime Minister. It doesn't matter, you can fly into any country and have your coffee, have your meeting, and when you leave, your host will pick up a cup of water, drink, and say, ha ha ha, the idiot has leave. Ha 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 ha. And they reinitiate a new policy behind you. It has happened in several cases. We have seen cases where they went where they went to America. Immediately they board their flight and be going. American government will just let them go. We don't need them. So that is how it is. That is how it is. When he went to America, some people were saying, hey, he has defeated IPOB on Western Front, because people do not understand what diplomacy is all about. He went to America and left, and the next time what we have is that Tucano jet is not going to be more available. Because if you want to win your enemy, it's not by noise making. If your enemy goes on day, when he leaves, you go at night and renegotiate. And that is one thing I commend IPOB for. He went to America and left, and IPOB activated her Nicodemus visit. And at the end, who won? Today, the results should tell you. But when he went to America, some people were making a hell lot of noise, talking childishly. But he never moved us, because IPOB can only let you to know what she wants you to know. That is as simple as it is. What she wants you to know is what she will let you know. So that is how it is. She can go to Russia and leave. And Russia's policy will still be against Nigeria. It doesn't matter. After all, when they travel is an opportunity for them to steal. So that is it. So I want to thank everyone who joined us. Thank you for your time to be here. And most especially, I think our brother Obare Diego is here from Israel, and too many persons, whom I might not start mentioning names one by one. But I want to appreciate us and to urge us to keep faith alive. God, in His infinite mercy, is always with us. But understand that no be person will fly plane go. Na then they carry cup come back. No be team will carry plane go. Na then they carry team come back. Remember, they went to Japan, like somebody is saying, but Toyota chose Ghana and not them. So that is what I want to say. And from here, I want to say a very good night to everyone. And may Chukwu Kabiama keep on preserving us.